Okay, hi everyone. It's been a while since last time we had a talk. I usually try to release at least once per week or latest once per 2 weeks, but this time period was a little bit longer because of the different reasons, traveling, work-related stuff, so on, so quite a lot of things to handle. So it was a little bit longer, but this time I decided to bring a slightly different topic because it actually bothers quite a lot and already have quite a lot of information to share. So what I want to talk today about, actually not even today, but at least a pile of talks, which material I have prepared, this time preparation. I want to talk today about health system in Germany, healthcare in particular, how it works. There's a lot of, let's say, questions appearing because of, I live for a while in Germany, plus, I can compare with other countries as well. I also have, let's say, big pile of contacts with, let's say, different people, with the doctors, with people who are just, or students who are just studying right now, and I managed to collect quite a lot of different opinions. And because of just curiosity of my mind, managed to find out pretty much interesting things to share. So let's start today. Format slightly different. So on one side I'm gonna talk, on the other side I prepared slides because it's not that simple topic, so that just to tell everything out of the mind. So I'm gonna use the slides, which I will share also in this video, at least partially. So first, what I need to tell. Disclaimer. This is a critical thing. So a lot of things which basically taken, which I managed to collect, are taken from the communication with practicing doctors and through the observations or the process, because the curious mindset, and I was, let's say, combining the things which I managed to find using different public sources. Then second part, of course, is some things in this video might sound negative, for sure. But I would prefer really to emphasize and tell that Germany is pretty big and strong country with very, very huge potential. So there's a really huge potential for improvement of the system. Even if big pile of things gonna be on the negative side on the one side, I still keep always positive mindset, because even negative, revealed negative things always give a good chance for improvement. Another thing is, depending on types of the area where the doctors or young doctors are working, some things could be not visible that much, might be absent, and might be just not that detected, or not that easy to detect. One or another, but it's overall, let's say, issue which I see, and let's go. So first part, in general, German system, how it works, so and why sometimes it's overranked. So if we talk about German insurance in the, let's say, across the country, so there is around 80 million of residents in the country, and mainly there is the separation. So there is public insurance, or which is called statutory health insurance, and private health insurance. On statutory or public health insurance, it's around 87% of insured. So 87% of inhabitants or residents are on the public insurance, and only around 10% on the private insurance. So these numbers are significant, if you can see. These numbers based on research from 2018, but I would tell the situation most probably didn't change way too much within the last years. So as introduction part, so how German system works, health system works, why it's considered as overranked in general, what is internal, how it works internally, because that's usually sometimes the most interesting part. Why it should collapse, actually, in the current state. If it would continue going as is, it definitely have to collapse. And might it happen that private medicine gonna be, let's say, the future base, or ideas from the private medicine can become the future. let's go basically step by step. How it works, healthcare system. So first, what you need to remember always when we talk about Germany. Healthcare, one or another, it's a mandatory, so or statutory, whatever you tell, it's a mandatory for any resident who stays in Germany. So like anyone, if you're expat, if you're resident, like permanent residence, whatever, you always have the health insurance. You must have it. It's split into two parts, as I already mentioned, based on the separation, public and private. Public health insurance, or it's called like GKV or gesetzliche Krankenversicherung. So main points there. It's basically public insurance. Anyone can take it, so it's available for anyone. Your contribution, in this case, gonna depend on your salary. So more you earn, more you're gonna pay for this insurance. The premiums here might go up to 1K per month, 1,000 euro per month. Sometimes when I talk like these numbers to residents from other countries, they are super surprised. Like, how much? 1,000? 100 maybe? No, 1,000. 1,000 euro per month. So this is the most maximum amount of money which you're gonna pay as a premium for public insurance. Why this number is that big? It's usually when people reach particular, or employees reach particular level in the salary, in the annual income, then they jump into the highest rank. Basically, you pay 14% from your gross income or gross salary. And in this case, it's split in two parts. First part is paid usually by employee. It's around 7.3%, and 7.3% paid by your employer. In total, 14% and not more than 1,000 per month. Pretty big number, yeah? Basically, a self-employed person, if you work, for example, as a self-employed, in this case, you really have to cover the full amount on your own. So, which means that there is no employer who's gonna pay part or half. It means that you pay everything here. And the problem is here that coverage of the insurance might change at any moment of time by just law or by just regulation. So, and you cannot do anything. It also might be cancelled. Some premiums or parts of the benefits might be just cancelled. And yeah, usually you just bear all the expenses on your own when you just as a freelancer. If we would talk about private insurance part. Private insurance, it's not available for everyone, so this is probably a key thingy. Private insurance available only when you either work in a particular area, so which means that you should be in the civil servants or maybe a student. Civil servants is, for example, could be teachers, yeah, and or students. They are eligible for private insurance even without any, let's say, prerequisite, like the most minimum amount of gross. Or like the most minimum income which you have to have per year. This minimum threshold is on 69K or 70K, just to make calculation easier in general. If you go in above this level, you will receive basically a message from your insurance company, even if you are on the public one, and they would tell that now you like can apply on the freiwillig, or you can be on the freiwillig form. So which means that you can, like, you first reach the most maximum payments on the public insurance, or as alternate, you can also switch to the private insurance. Private insurance, your monthly premium in this case doesn't depend on your income. So it just increases over the time, of course. I mean, older you become, also like the income, let's say the amount of money which you need to pay or premium going up, but it might not go that significant at some point. And yes, it will not grow that dramatically, especially it's relevant for people who earn, for example, like more than 100K, so like a little bit more than let's say, or how it's named in Germany, it's Top-Verdiener, so top earning professions. So for them, it might be interesting. Thing is that also premiums here really depend on your health status. So on the one side. On the other side, it's like desired or scope of the benefits and age when you enter to the private insurance. Earlier you appear in the private insurance, then in this case your premium is gonna be smaller, because then while you're young and healthy and you don't use the public, or sorry, the insurance way too often, you kind of start to build, let's say, the funding for yourself, if we can name it like that, and then the amount of money which you need to pay over the time kind of would be a little bit rebalanced. But yeah, if you enter to the private insurance on the latest stages, when you already, I don't know, on 40s or like closer to, let's say, retirement, for example, 50s, the amount of money most probably going to be pretty high. Risks about you will be high. So, I mean, all the private insurances, they want to stay profitable. That's why they assume that in this case you're going to be on the higher risk area, and of course they would make premium for you on the higher numbers. You can rebalance it, for example, by just making bigger deductible part, so that you would pay more from your pocket when something going wrong, so kind of excess. But still, there would be issues if you're like on the old age. And yes, what is good part is that the coverage is much more extensive compared to the public insurance, and benefits are guaranteed because it's kind of stated in the contract, so you sign a contract with them. And they should remain during the all length of your contract, so maybe during the whole your lifetime, depending. It's not actually that easy to change the private insurances as well, so it's not something like, I don't know, house insurance or whatever, which you can just change maybe even every year. And I mean, very, very strong argument, which you can in many cases see. The private health insurance, one of the big benefits of it is that it's much easier to get appointments to the doctor. We'll cover it a little bit later. You'll get why. If we talk about just the diagram, so the how contribution works. If we talk about statutory health insurance, then usually, as I mentioned, like because you pay percentage from your income, then of course someone who earns more gonna, let's say, have a bigger contribution, and someone who earns less, for example, I think threshold is 5,000 per year. If you earn less, then you pay 0 in general. Then, like in Germany, there's a lot of things regarding the solidarity, so kind of trying to create or like rebalance the people and the possibilities. So basically, the rebalancing going in the direction like who have a need, they would get help from overall funding. So this is how it works. Idea is absolutely perfect. Unfortunately, there is a lot of, let's say, cases when there's too many misuses. We'll cover it also later why I'm a little bit pessimistic right now about the public health insurance state. As a counterparty, private insurance, basically you choose first your premium. Your premium depends on your age, as I mentioned, also on coverage which you want to have. And of course, the deductible part, like bigger deductible, then smaller is premium. Deductible, if you're not that in this topic, or excess, is something what you need to pay from your pocket. And only after you reach this deductible threshold, only then insurance company gonna start to pay on the top, or like everything what is left. I mean, it's generic thinking. And then basically, depending on what you ordered, you would have different premiums, and you just start to use the insurance as soon as you need it. Basically, maybe it's like with the car insurance. So if you have the insurance case, so you appear at the doctor, then doctor basically gives you the payslip or the bill or invoice, and you basically pay. Either a doctor gives it to you, or some kind of companies with whom doctors contracted, they send you the invoice, you pay it from your pocket, critical moment. And then afterwards you might collect a bunch of these invoices, and for example at some point of time you just apply all of them to the insurance company. Depending on the type of the insurance companies, they might have different periods of time when you can apply or might be eligible to apply. But in general, you ask the insurance company to make reimbursement to you and return back money to you. that's basically how it works, and like roughly. If we would compare, for example, premiums, how they are growing and developing over the time, private insurance versus public insurance. So public health insurance going more expensive over the time as well. So as soon as like more people, for example, use and misusing, there is also like additional inflation happening. They always need to rebalance, and they, in most cases, the percent which they put on the top to compensate the losses, if we can name it like that, sometimes they have a little bit higher increases. So if we take a look like 2012 year and 2022, at least according to some, let's say, found graphics on my site, then private one became only 2.6% more expensive, while public one became 3.3% more expensive than the premium itself. Maybe not that big, but if you talk over, like if we talk about over the years, yeah, the number might become pretty big. So trend in general looks like that they are pretty much on the pair, but still public one goes a little bit higher than private one. Negative part, of course, here, that on the one side, if you take a look at the numbers, yeah, looks like they are on the par. The thing is that public insurance coverage can be reduced. So while you pay still a little bit more because there was revisited percents, so for example, you need to pay 3% more in like if you would do the same 10 years ago, but you would also have a lower coverage. So less things gonna be covered, and also doctors might be more limited, like how much they can help you in the particular areas. And this is what is sometimes very hard to measure. What have been changed during these 10 years? What have dropped? And yeah, you can just see it as basically undefined reduction in coverage, because sometimes there is something added in the coverage, that's for sure, but sometimes things are just deleted. So yeah, let's start to talk about untold things in the public health insurance. Untold, of course, you heard them. If you are on public insurance in Germany, then most probably you felt and found them already. But why not to mention, just to move us closer to main topic. So first thing is, there is no available appointments with the doctors in most cases. You most probably just need to be about to die to get the appointment. No, in this case, it's not going to be appointment. Actually, in this case, it's going to be the acute case or the urgent case. And in this case, you most probably either would call ambulance, or they would just, like, without any lines, would move you to the different location, to, let's say, particular area where they are obligated to get you. Or if you have very urgent case, but you are not about really to die, but you are calling to special, let's say, station, then they might send you to a particular doctor who is obligated to get you. But if you're just a normal person who wants just to make the appointment, in German it's called Termin, it might be a trouble. Like, really, I heard and I saw, actually, you can even open, for example, sites like Dr. Leap and so on, and take a look. If you are on the public insurance, how many appointments available for you if you try to book it for tomorrow? No, nothing. Next week, in most cases, nothing. If you're lucky, maybe in half a year, in a quarter. So sometimes it's very, very hard to find out appointments. Second part is long waiting time if you need any kind of special treatment. Sometimes even surgeries could be queued because of the just issue. Doctors are overloaded who are working with the public insurance. And this could be also additional headache. And of course, they keep booking slots for the privately insured patients. Another thing, which in most cases not really mentioned that well, is nothing covered except for real basics. Maybe nothing is way too loud words, But I would tell every time when I had to go to the doctor, I always was paying on the top of what insurance can cover. You go to dentist, you always would pay probably double afterwards. I mean, like insurance cover half. So for example, they cover the most basic filling. I hope not metal anymore, yeah, but at least it's gonna be really like the most basic. So even if you want to get like just normal like photopolymer filling, you will pay on the top. If they're gonna be made any kind of injection, for example, with anesthesia, then gonna be, again, you're gonna pay on the top. And it's just a simple example with the dentist. Take any other, in most cases you're gonna pay on the top from your pocket. So basic is definitely covered. They will not let you die, for sure, but they also will not pay for any kind of good treatment. Just the most basic one. And even when you pay the highest rank or rate, like 1K per month, same. You will get absolutely the same. You still will pay from your pocket afterwards. So as I mentioned, basically it's rather oriented to solve the problem, not to prevent it. So, for example, sometimes doctor can make additional checkup with special equipment, which gonna be, I don't know, like maybe plus 50 euro on the top. But this checkup would give much better understanding what is happening with you. But insurance doesn't cover it, because they used to do it in the past to use different type of the investigations and checkups. So they would say, yeah, it's not needed. Just take a look at the person and fine. No need to make any kind of pictures or whatever, so on. Which is kind of not really following the current trends in medicine as well. Like as soon as technologies are going further, there's a lot of things are moving, but new technologies most probably will not be available for you. You're gonna be outdated. So yeah, technically you will be still not dying, you will be cured, but if you manage to prevent some issues, questionable. Maybe yes, maybe no. Depends how lucky you are. So as I mentioned, yeah, police might be a little bit too loud. Anyway, as I've mentioned, yeah, I hope it's police. Sounds like, not a fire. Anyway, so first, oriented oriented to solve the problems and not to avoid them. That's for sure. Extremely low value to costs. If you earn more than 70k, so when you pay the highest premium number, so you pay 1k, and at the end you get all the negative parts from public insurance. So it's still very hard for you to get any appointments. It's still very hard for you to let's say get any kind of good treatments without, let's say, paying on top for that. And yeah, that's basically it. So nothing special. And also it's just getting more expensive over the time. They always constantly revisiting the premiums and expenses. What is good, really good, and this is why a lot of people still on the public insurance, I would tell, even that one who earn like on like quite good amount of money, and then still your family gonna be insured with you. For example, your wife, if your wife is not working, then she's gonna be insured with you. Your kids, for example, gonna be insured automatically. You don't need to pay for them. Sometimes it's a strong argument, especially if you have family with a lot of kids, I don't know, 5 kids, or even I think more than 2 kids. Already, like, sometimes people start to ask the question and think about, yeah, maybe need to be on the public. Not a trivial task, but sometimes it sounds like that yes, it's easier. Honestly, I would tell. If of course your wife works, then yeah, no problem. I mean, in this case, even when she's on public insurance, in this case, yeah, again, she pays her half, employer pays his half, and everyone's happy. She's insured because it's mandatory, and you, for example, on the private one. But if wife is not working, then yeah. Then let's go to the private insurance. So some untold things about that. They always, I mean, when you open any site, any consultant agencies, they always tell a lot of things, good things about private insurances. which I also mentioned right now, and yeah, some of them definitely make sense, but some untold things. It also gets expensive over the time, especially when you become older, and in particular if you make a contract on the older ages with private insurance, your premium gonna be more expensive. So that's how it works. Another thing, you pay per each member you're gonna insure. So your wife, she's not working, you need to pay for her separately. So for example, your premium 400 per month, yeah, and you are employed. Then your employer gonna pay 200 into the private insurance. Actually, they would compensate it to you, and then you pay from your pocket 400, which is like half was compensated by employer. Then if you need to insure your wife, you will pay, for example, 400 or whatever amount they're gonna calculate for her, depending again on her age, prerequisites. Then you'll pay this amount from your pocket. Yeah, you maybe probably will be able to, let's say, ask for, let's say, tax reduction afterwards, but it's a different story. If you have kids, then yes, kids by default gonna be, I think, assigned on your insurance, which means that you have to pay per each kid. Yes, Germany likes kids, and in most cases in Germany you would get discount for the kid, but you still need to pay for each of them individually the insurance premium. So that's how it works. Moreover, as far as I remember, when you have combination, for example, you are on private insurance and your wife on the public insurance, and you have born a kid or you got a kid. So in this case, public insurance might decline to insure your kids through the insurance of your wife, but they would rather request to insure you as a holder of private insurance, your kids. So you're gonna most probably still pay for your kids even when one family member on the public insurance. But it's some kind of co-works. Maybe some kind of consultancy agencies knows how to bypass it, but this is at least what I heard. Another negative thing, you pay your bills from your pocket. That's most probably exactly the reason why there is most minimum threshold, like 70k to be able to apply for the private insurance. So, like whatever you go, whenever you do with the doctor, you will get invoice from the doctor, from the company with whom he's cooperating, and then you need to pay it. You just do the regular SEPA transaction or just regular transaction from your bank. And then you might afterwards ask for reimbursement to your insurance company. That's just how it works. That's why at some point you might need to consider that if something happens, you need to go to the dentist or whatever, then yeah, most probably you would need to pay like 1k, 2k, 3k out of your pocket, and then later think if you want to ask for reimbursement from insurance company. And sometimes actually it makes no sense to ask for it. We'll cover later. Then, as comes from the previous statement, more paperwork. When you're on the public insurance, then doctor does something, he has tracked your card from the insurance company, and then he just applies everything to the insurance through the KV. And when you're on the private insurance, then doctor tracks everything what was done with you, then you get invoice, you pay for that, then you take this invoice and send it or apply to the insurance company. So there is more, let's say, paperwork for you to handle, because then you need to transfer some papers, maybe even reply to the insurance companies afterwards why you was doing this or that and things like that. So yeah, that's how it works. So more paperwork on the one side. On the other side, you also need to remember the deductible part. Let's assume you signed and for the private insurance with deductible part 500 euro, which means that, for example, depending on your type of your contract, then 500 euro per year paid from your pocket. And then you went to the doctor and then you got a bill 50 euro. You need to pay it from your pocket anyway, and it will not be returned back because you're still below the threshold 500. Yeah, but if you go to the doctor like 50 euro and like you go 10 times, you'll be on 500 euro. So you are exactly on the threshold. You might take all those bills and apply it to the insurance company. And this doesn't make sense. Yeah, you would tell that, yeah, but I can get in return back the compensation for this 500. Yes and no, you probably will get it. But the thing is that also a pile of insurance companies, private insurance companies, they also have additional bonus program. So less you use them, more money they return you at the end of the year. So they have kind of fiscal year, so they close it and then they check if you was applying. If you didn't apply, they return you additional bonus, let's say into your account. Like, I think depending on the type of the company, like whatever company it is, they might return you different amount of money. And yeah, sometimes you might try to apply to return back some euro, but you might lose, for example, the bonus part. So that's why you need to calculate sometimes like what is your threshold after which you reach, then you need to apply already for the insurance because it definitely makes sense. What's another thing you need to keep in mind? Because private insurance nature, they have also higher, let's say, compensation to the doctors, and your bills can grow up very quickly, the numbers there. So that's why it really makes sense to control what is happening, what doctor does, and sometimes why. Because yeah, of course it's easy to get the bill like on 1,000 euro and then say, yeah, I don't care, I'm gonna apply to the insurance company and that's it. But if this bill, for example, is on the lower numbers, then you just might feel, okay, but why the hell I need to pay this if it was not done? Yeah, or it made no sense. So yes, you need to keep an eye what is done, why, and sometimes actually even makes sense to say that when on the doctors that I need only this particular thingy. That's it. And yeah, in this case they respect. If you tell that, yes, I come here for, I don't know, blood check, and I don't want to do anything else, I even don't need a consultancy, for example, so then they will do like whatever you need. Just ask for that. You also might have to resolve disputes. So if you have way too high bill and, for example, insurance company doesn't want to pay, then yeah, there could be additional conflicts or kind of disputes to resolve to let's say get compensation afterwards. Then yes, private insurance, it will not cover some known issues at the moment of the signing contract, or it's sometimes named as pre-existing conditions. So in case if you was signing a contract with insurance company and then you told that or you have hidden some kind of diseases which takes for a long time or chronic stuff, then, and if it would be confirmed, then they can decline to actually pay for this type of the treatments. Yes, if you decide to switch later from the private insurance to the public one, it might be not a trivial task. So in this case, you would really need to fill up a pile of conditions, especially older you become, closer to the retirement period you appear. It might be more and more, let's say, it might be a really harder process. It needs to be planned in advance. And yeah, I know that, for example, you need to show that you have very low income, which means that at some point of time you would need, for example, to plan how to drop your overall income to the lowest number, so that basically private insurance would decline you and then public needs to accept you, so on. So there is pretty complex process, sometimes maybe even impossible for some type of the people. But yeah, if you plan to make a switch from private to public one, consider it's not trivial, and if you talk with consultancy agencies regarding the switch, always ask about this thingy. So yeah, it might be not that easy. So that's why when you're on public insurance and before you switch to private one, you also need to think about that. You need to think about, okay, if you're gonna work all the time, if your wife gonna work all the time, if you're gonna have a kids, how many kids maybe you're gonna have, so on. So there's a lot of preconditions, but yeah, at the end there is no right or wrong, it's just rather about decision. Closer to the topic. While healthcare system overrated. So now I'm gonna drop some shit. So there is missing a structured educational program for young doctors, and all doctors in most cases do not prepare replacement through educating others, in particular younger doctors. Thereby there is already a serious lack of quality and knowledgeable doctor. So system basically in the current state about to collapse if it would continue going exactly in this direction as it is. I'll cover actually it afterwards. So all doctors right now retiring, and in most cases, as mentioned, without qualified replacement. Big corporations right now, they are entering the market and they're purchasing a big pile of individual practices. In German it's called praxis. And basically goal of these corporations or investment funds is only to make money. They goal to be profitable. So they don't care about patients, they just need the profit. That's the reason of why investment fund can appear and purchase something. Overall aging of the population on the one side, plus misuse basically of the insurance system on the other side, both by doctors, by lack of the doctors, and by sometimes actually patients as well, causing basically rising of the costs for insurance and in parallel worsening coverage overall. Because when doctors are overloaded, it's harder for them to treat you. Then insurance companies use that something goes wrong, they need to pay too much, they try to drop the wages or limit. So it's it's really like an avalanche effect. There is actually no real serious federal help from authorities, like from the tax authorities, from, I don't know, Ärztekammer or KV, to price opening by the doctors the practice. And sometimes system seems to be made in the way where there is only bigger, richer or lobbied ones would survive or pass. Yeah, in current conditions actually the patient probably is the last thing to worry about in this environment. Patient in your case is basically you, person who's paying the insurance at the end and want to get the treatment when it's really necessary. Yeah, of course, these statements, they sound pretty loud, but yeah, we can just cover each of them one by one and take a look.